Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2. And welcome to, where the hell are we? Somewhere between Stuttgart and Orleans. So let's hop in, let's get rolling. We did just sleep through the night, and we just woke up, so we got plenty of sleep. And I think we've got both enough sleep and enough fuel to make it straight through to our destination. I hope. Brake is off. I do have my coffee. Yeah, I got my coffee. I got everything. Okay. And we're rolling. Now, I did notice this truck, this Renault T that we're in, new to base game. And it's got a first and a second, but I think that represents low 1 and low 2, and then you get into your main gears. But on the display, it just comes up as 1. So what'll happen is, like, when I get to a red light, I'll shift down till I get to 1 and forget that I need to go down 2 more to get to that low 1. So I need to remember that. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. This truck is, I'm pleased with it so far. I mean, it's what you would expect. SCS is pretty solid in their work. Man, I sound like I'm just all over SCS lately. Just showering them with love. And that's not the case, but they are impressing me with what they've done recently. It does make me wonder if they've got maybe some new project managers, or if they just, I don't know, went to a new way of doing things as they continue to grow. And that's scaling is something that I work with my clients on. And one of the things that I'll tell my clients early days when we start a project is there's 2 terrible scenarios for what we're planning to do here. One is it doesn't work at all, and your company doesn't grow and you don't make any more money than you made last year. And the other problem is it succeeds beyond our forecast, right? And that brings into play all kinds of issues of scale. Even something as basic as, where are you going to put all the people, right? Like, if you have 10 people doing 10 things and suddenly there's 15 things to do, well, now you need 5 more people. Where are you going to put them? And maybe some people can work from a remote office, but it's sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a company is it grows faster than it plans to. And so when I see a company begin to move on a different trajectory or sort of do things differently, as a business development consultant, that's one of my curiosities immediately is, have they decided to try some new things? Have they brought new people in that are taking the company in a different direction? Not in terms of their product, but in terms of their project management and how they do things, right? Have they moved to a new office and they have a new HR structure and they're hiring different kinds of people or whatever? Just questions like that. Business fascinates me. It really, really does. I love it. Right, so what else is going on? In sim gaming, there is a new DLC for spin tires, which totally snuck up on me. And it's good. It's really different. The first new DLC for 1.3.7, or I guess it was 1.3.6, but when the game sort of came back, when Spin Tires sort of came back after whatever embargo or whatever was going on between them and, is it Focus or Saber that bought Mudrunner or that released Mudrunner? I don't know, man. I just hear gossip. But whatever embargo was going on, it feels like somebody just popped the cork on this Spin Tires developers, and they've been really cutting loose. So the first DLC was Canyons, and it was very steep, very tippy, and very vertical, and challenging in that way. This new DLC is called Aftermath, and it represents a flood, and typically a flood is not going to happen in the mountains. It's going to happen down in the lowlands, down on the plain, where everything is sort of flat to begin with. And that's the challenge, I guess, of Aftermath, is that the terrain is relatively flat, but it's flooded. So all you're seeing is water, right? And water, of course, is very flat. So you can't really see where the road goes because it's under the water, and the roads themselves, I think, are a bit narrower, and so it's easy to sort of slump off the side of the road that you can't see because it's underwater. So that's been fun. It's been fun getting back in there. And what else is going on? Ghost Recon Breakpoint, I'm continuing to follow that. And it's not really controversy. I think people knew ahead of time what they were going to get with Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but I've had sort of a a moment of clarity, I think. And I feel like I've really gotten a better handle on what it is that Ubisoft is doing with both Breakpoint and with the Division franchise. And it's so I'm a big Tool fan, right? The band Tool. I don't know if you even know the band Tool. You kids today with your rock and roll. I don't know if you even know who Tool is, but if you do know, Tool released a new record about a month ago. First record in 13 years. And the first time I listened to it, first few times I listened to it, I thought, I've heard all this before. It sounds really familiar. It's not particularly, And it took a lot of listening for me to realize what they had done. And essentially what they've done is, at least this is my take on it. I mean, it's art. Art is interpretive. Everybody sees and hears something different when they experience a piece of art. So my interpretation could be completely wrong, but this is what I get from it. The band has five releases previous to this, including their EP. And there are 6, I guess, major songs on this release. And then there's some intermediate pieces. There's some other pieces that sort of go in between, which is something that Tool does. But we'll call it 6 major songs. And each of them, what I'm finding is, each of them represents a previous entire release, right? So they've encapsulated, I guess, every phase of their career prior to this one into a single song, and use the same themes and even the same energy, I guess, in a way. And I'm reluctant to use that term. I'm not a big fan of the term energy. Ugh. But that's what they did. And so from that angle, suddenly it's like, whoa, how do you even do that? How do you put yourself in the headspace that you were in 20 years ago and record something that is evocative of a different era in your life and in your career without it being obvious? Because it's not something you notice straight away, right? It's not obvious. It's not heavy-handed or overbearing. It's very subtle. And then to do that 5 more times, and then the 6th song represents this current era of their career. Wow. And so from that angle, now the more I listen to it, the better it sounds. It's a masterpiece. It just took a minute for me to get it. And I could be completely wrong about that. That's simply my interpretation. If you see it differently, if you're a Tool fan and you see it differently, that's totally cool. But that's what clicked for me. And all of a sudden it's like, okay. And listening to it from that perspective now, it's, like I said, it's amazing. It's very, very impressive. So RPG games, and I know I've been talking about RPG games a lot, but this is something I want to crack. It's been on my mind. I think I can fast pass through here, by the way. I think. Right through here. Oh yeah. Beautiful. So with the release of Breakpoint, and having played Division 2 a little bit on my Ubisoft trial, really trying to sort this out, because I don't believe Ubisoft is a company that doesn't know what they're doing. Having said that, tangentially, there have been some big screw-ups from major publishers this year. So it's not as simple as saying, well, it's a big company. Obviously, they know what they're doing, and any disagreement with that is simply user error. Or just not getting it. I'm not saying that. Bethesda had a big screw up this year. There was one other one. There've been some companies that have really struggled in 2019. So I'm not saying it's all our fault as consumers and we're just not getting it. But at the same time, a big company, a multi-billion-dollar company, generally has a pretty good idea of what they're doing. They're not just throwing paint at the wall. And so as I've been reading about Ghost Recon Breakpoint and watching gameplay, one of the big complaints, so you got your RPG and you got your tactical shooter. And I'll clarify the difference between those two. Tactical shooter is one shot, one kill, headshots kill automatically, but that goes both ways, right? So if you've ever played something like Arma or Squad, you're kind of sneaking along trying to get someplace, and then you're just dead. There's no radar warning, there's no nothing. You're just dead. Somebody sniped you. And because you are as fragile as the NPCs, or in the case of Squad, it's all PvP, but because every character, playable or non-playable, because every character is equally fragile and can die from one hit in a vital area, you're dead. And that's tactical shooter. RPG goes back to spreadsheet gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, 30 plus years ago, where you do have scores and builds and various other things. And the culmination of an MMORPG is typically a raid where you've got a dozen players, right, hurling fire and magic at a gigantic monster, and it takes forever to kill it, to the point where it even becomes about attrition, right? You got people dying, you got players dying, and so you got a magician running around resurrecting people, and it's a question of whether you're going to run out of mana, whether you're going to run out of magic. And so seeing Ghost Recon Breakpoint and all the comparisons to Division 2, and thinking about my time in Division 2, and just thinking about RPG in general, and Division from the get-go has been an RPG, I suddenly had this epiphany, this revelation, very similar to listening to that Tool record again. I had this revelation, and it was, oh shit, all Ubisoft did was take the classic RPG model, right, which is magic, wizards and warriors and swords and stuff, dragons. All they did was take that RPG model and transport it into an urban environment. And so when people say, Division 2 it's not an RPG game, it's, right, because you play as a soldier. If you're playing as a soldier, it must be a tactical shooter. It's not. It is all the mechanics of an RPG game. It's all the mechanics of something like World of Warcraft, simply transported into an urban setting. And rather than a sword, you have a rifle. And rather than magic, you have skills, right? And rather than a magician or a wizard to come and resurrect you, you've got a medic. And so from that angle now, it sort of changes the way I think about it. And I think a lot of people have had that same or a similar understanding of, okay, it's not a problem with the game, it's simply our expectations and what we're seeing. Right? Oh, very soon. We're pulling in right now. We're good to go. So again, not excusing every developer for their missteps and not blaming every failed game on consumers. But in this case, making the observation that if you begin to see Division as an RPG game rather than a tactical shooter, and I mean a full RPG game, like a classic RPG game with dragons and swords and stuff. If you see it that way instead, transported to that different environment, then it clicks and it makes perfect sense, and the bullet spongy monster bosses and the mobs and everything, right? And so we reverse engineer it and say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was an RPG game like this, but instead of being in some far-off mythical kingdom with castles and so forth, wouldn't it be cool if that was in New York City? Ah, okay. And then you get the Division. So now we have Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which people are saying is just the Division taking place in the jungle. Well, yes and no. I mean, the RPG aspects are not nearly as strong. It does have very many aspects of a tactical shooter. And so, again, sort of reverse engineering it and looking at it from the perspective of, because there are so many similarities to the Division carried over into Ghost Recon Breakpoint, reverse engineer it and ask the question, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we took a game like The Division and stripped away, oh, don't hit that car. Oh, barely, and stripped away some of the bullet spongy boss monsters and some of the mobs, and had it be just the mechanics of the game without necessarily all the RPG aspects. And looking at Ghost Recon Breakpoint now, that's sort of what I'm seeing. It's definitely not a straight ahead tactical shooter, but it's also not an RPG game. It's a weird fusion of a lot of things, But it's, other than, I guess, I haven't played it. I've only been watching people play it. But other than, I guess, one of the final bosses, it is a tactical shooter. It is one shot, one kill. And so it's, well, like I said earlier, it's if you ask the question, what would Division look like in the jungle, obviously, but what would it look like if we took away these bullet spongy bosses? The result would be something very similar to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And it's almost like some of those Miles Davis albums from the 1970s that were so out there, people really didn't even understand what it was he was trying to do until 30 years later, and then it clicks like, oh, okay. And it's not that you just trust someone like Ubisoft or like Miles Davis. That's a sentence you never thought you'd hear. It's not like you just automatically trust somebody and blame yourself. Well, I don't like this. It must just be me. No, it's okay to not like something. It's totally cool to not think something is good. But at the same time, I think, when you have that body of work, like a big game studio or like a very talented musician, I think it's okay that we do take a little time to try to understand, like, are they maybe doing something here that we don't get yet? Should we give it a second look? And as people did that with some of that, I'm trying to see where my turn is. Okay, it's there. With some of that Miles Davis stuff from the 70s, it did take decades for people to get it, and now people really understand, like, wow, this cat was so far ahead of his time. He's next level. It just took time. So I don't think I'm gonna... Oh, really? Okay. Looked green to me. I don't think I'm going to necessarily get Breakpoint. Where's my gear? There it is. I don't think I'm necessarily going to get Breakpoint. But looking at it from that new perspective, previously I thought it was just a mashup of a lot of ideas, none of which really came to the surface. But I'm seeing it differently now and thinking it's a combination of some very different gaming aspects that have not necessarily been brought together before. And I do think it came from kind of a simple premise, going back to the Division, which is, what if we moved an RPG game out of the classic environment? Tried it someplace new. Right, so that's something that's been on my mind. And, I guess that sort of ties in with something else, because I got a comment. Most of the comments that I get are super positive. Some of the comments that I get are just weird. I don't really understand them, but I try to be polite. Every now and then I get sort of flamey comments, which don't bother me. Just don't cuss, If you want to harsh on my gameplay, that's cool. Don't cuss. Try not to cuss. But essentially what this person said is, this was on Spin Tires, what they said was, you're driving an overpowered mod and then complaining that the game is too easy. And I think, I don't know that I was necessarily doing either one of those things. I certainly wasn't complaining that the game is too easy. I do, well, first thing you got to understand is this whole channel is I'm just having fun, man. This is just tongue-in-cheek. As much as I game, I really don't take it that seriously. I really don't. It's just fun. It's a hobby, and I enjoy it, and that's it. That's all. But I would, yeah, I don't think I've ever complained about a game being too easy. And as far as the mod truck, for Spin Tires, it's such an odd premise. I don't know. I mean, I know, like in ETS, if I saw a mod truck that was 10,000 horsepower, I know that's that's no good. But in Spin Tires, everything is sort of loosey-goosey. I have no idea what a horsepower a truck is. I don't even think it lists it. Yeah, when you choose a truck, because you don't buy trucks, you don't go to the dealer and buy them. You just find a gear here. You just pick one before you start your game, and then you're in it when the game starts. I don't know from horsepower. I don't know from torque. I don't know from overpowered. I like polar trucks. I just like polar trucks for no reason. So, I don't really know if a truck is overpowered or not. I really don't. And I struggle with the game. At the best of times, I struggle with the game. So the idea that I picked an overpowered truck, that's just not how I play any game. I do enjoy the struggle, the building. I don't like, in Farm Sim, I don't like a combine harvester with a 200 meter wide header that holds, 150,000 liters of grain. It's just not my thing, man. I like it to be real. So it kind of struck me like, maybe I'm not making it clear that, first off, I'm never going to complain in my videos. If I'm playing a game that is worth complaining about, I'm not going to record it for you. And secondly, I really make an effort to not go OP. So it kind of I had to unpack that because I wasn't really sure what that comment was getting at. It on the one hand, my first thought was, man, you're really not getting it. You are really not getting this. But and like just talking about Ghost Recon Breakpoint and studios and various other things, if it's not fair for a developer to just automatically blame the consumer, we didn't do anything wrong, you're just not getting it, right? If that's not appropriate behavior for a studio, it's also in a way not appropriate behavior for me. I don't just want to point to any negative comment and say, well, you're a dope, you don't get it. You clearly don't understand what I'm doing here. I don't want to do that. I want to give that person the benefit of a doubt and unpack the comment and try to explore a little bit. What's the problem here? Where is the disconnect? It's not this one, it's this one. Okay, so we're going up here. But after I did unpack it, the conclusion that I came to was, there does seem to be a disconnect here, because what you're describing is not necessarily how things went down. So, where are we going? Yes, here we are, safe and sound. And I didn't hit that gate coming in. I thought I might. Right, we got time. I'm going to flip this around and park it. You want to try to pick another job? Yeah, because we're at 23 minutes. Let's pick another job before we leave, but we don't have to get on the road. I don't think we would make it very far if we did. So let's flip around here. No, we're not going to skip parking. We got time. We got time. Man, I see YouTubers do this stuff in cab. I've done it. I have done it in cab, but it's been a long, long time. And I mean, I can barely do it third person now. I think it's because I only play this game about an hour a week now, down from way more than an hour a week. Here we go, third person. Beautiful. So let's get in a good gear here. And this is the Pink Ribbon DLC. If I haven't mentioned that, this is a DLC that's available for breast cancer awareness for October. And there's two of them. There's one for ETS, there's one for ATS, and they are $1.99 US a piece. I would suggest buying both of them if you're into truck sim, because 100% of the proceeds go to breast cancer research internationally, which is very cool of SCS. Because you don't have to give 100%. You can give, whatever percent you want, still say it's for charity. So for them to go 100% is super cool. Hey, we got it in one swing. That's unusual for us. Beautiful, right in there. So put her in neutral. Set the brake. Engine is off. Let's see how we did. Late. Man, we got that warning. We were right outside of town when we got that warning. God, $8 grand. Oh, game. That stings. And 268 XP. All right, that happens. That happens. Not the end of the world. Right. Let us see if there's anything going to Reims. That's where we're trying to get to. And we're going from here, right? Well, there's a lot going on in this town. I see a lot of I see a lot of jobs. Brussels, Metz, Calais. Oh, scaffolding to Reims. This is where we're trying to get to. It's good for 11 hours. What time of day is it? What time of day is it? It is 3:15. If we slept, that would wake us up where? Just before dawn? And that job's good for 11 hours. How long to get there, though? Moment, please. Let's go back here, and go back here, and go back here. How long to get there, though? 4 hours and 16 minutes. Could we get it there before we have to sleep? I don't know how long the job is going to, you know what I mean? Once we pick it up, I don't know how long we're going to have to get it there. Let's just go grab it now. Let's just go grab it now and be done with it, so we know we got a job going to Reims. Right. How far to pick it up? 21 kilometers. Okay. I think we're all right. So, brake is off. Put her in gear. Here we go. What are we at on time? 26 minutes. Yeah, this will be perfect. We'll get this load on, and then we'll take a look and see how long we have to deliver the job and how long before we have to sleep. We've got plenty of... We're not that blue yet. Yeah, I think we've probably got 4 or 5 hours until we need to sleep. In fact, I can just look right now. It's here. It's here. That's going to be super tight. I don't think we're going to make it. We have to sleep in 4.5 hours. It said the job will take about 4.5 hours, and we haven't even picked it up yet. So I think we will have to sleep somewhere on the road. Hopefully that won't make the job late. But you know what? Even if it does, we're sitting on like, I don't know, over €1 million. I don't want to be too cavalier about it. Like, oh, I don't care about getting my jobs delivered on time because we have plenty of money. I don't necessarily want to take it that far. But at the same time, I think our primary goal is to get back to Reims and then decide what we want to do next, whether we want to relocate our base to Rotterdam and I reskin all the trucks. You know, one of my hesitations about doing that is I feel like I'm losing the ability to skin trucks as the game is evolving. I think some of the UV masks and some various things are changing, and my old tool that I used to build skins or to... Yeah, well, I use ETS Studio, and that's way out of date. So I'm concerned that if I try to reskin everything, it's not going to look very good. So, yeah. And if we did relocate to Rotterdam, we would need to come up with a new color key, a new colorway for our company. We would need to come up with a new logo, and I would need to get a Dutch translation of Portable Gamer. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, we've been in Reims for over a year. I think we could move to a new town. And the other thing I could do is we could just wait till 1.36 and pick a new city then, because we may be starting a new profile. Swing over here. We may be starting a new profile, a clean profile, start from scratch in 1.36 and just bring in mods as they're updated, right? So we'd start with no mods, absolutely clean profile, and then bring things in. If we do that, then we would have to pick a new city to start in. We could start in the same city if we wanted to. But if we pick a new city, it could be Rotterdam. All right. So we'll make our turn in here. Yeah. Yeah, this could all work out. Right. Get down to a good gear. All right. Long light. There we go. Right through here. Fantastic. So yeah, we'll sort that out next week. But I will be, whatever truck it is that we're in, I will make it a base game truck. Really? In there? Good grief. Okay. Yeah, that sign's already bent from where some other fool hit it. Okay, this is different. I do like, little game freeze right there. I do like that the jobs now seem to be a lot more linked to the location that you're going to. I know they always have been, sort of, but they seem a lot more specific now. They seem, you know, like whatever your trailer is, whatever the job site is, all of it aligns with the cargo. For the most part. Every now and then, I do see one that's a little bit off. You know, doesn't quite make sense, right? So we'll go to neutral. We'll set the brake. Take a look here. Where's our scaffolding? There it is. Beautiful. And we pick up right there. I'm just going to do a quick pickup. Because we're right at 31 minutes, so we'll just grab it. Get turned around, and then we'll start from here next episode. All right. Yes, I do want to skip. And I also want to see how long... Raining again. Oh, game. I do want to see how long we have to get this there. That is going to be this one. We have to sleep in 3.5 hours, and we have 17 hours to get the job there, and it takes 4 hours to get there. So 17 minus 4 is 13, and I believe you sleep for 12 hours. So we've got a 1 hour cushion on getting the job there. Is that right? That's right. So let's turn this off. Pivot around here. And there you go. There you have it, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2. And we'll see you next time. Pardon me. Take care now. See ya.